Hello and welcome back to the Frontiere Motorsport podcast. This is the Flat Out podcast, and we're here for round two, boys.
Way, we're round two is here.
Round two. So we've done a bit of WEC or WEC. So I think it's time we did a bit of F1. So shall we have a chat about these liveries? Because some are the same, some are different. We've had some changes in teams, some introductions. I hear Ford.
Yes, yeah, that's a new one.
So let's make a start. So first release was Haas. They finished in 8th place last year with 37 points. What do we think? The livery? Pretty much same.
To be fair, it is fairly new. A lot more darker colours on it, probably to save weight. I'm assuming it is more carbon. They're not actually painted it, have they?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think that's a
I
common trend. I think there's a
I
lot of carbon going on.
I gotta say, I think the Haas looks really, really good. I really do.
I
I
remember when it was released, you and I were coming back from United, and we just went, "Ooh,
oh yeah, because it looked exactly like an old IndyCar we'd literally just seen. But I think it looks mean for a Haas.
Yeah,
Where granted they've had multiple different liveries going over the past few years, especially with Rich Energy and then the whole your alkali business. Um, I think them going in a completely different direction where they've got, even though they've still got their good old colours, the black, the white, and the red, going in a way where suddenly their livery and the side profile of the car looks completely different. It's fantastic to see.
yeah. I think obviously aside from the MoneyGram, the bottom half is quite different. That's took a bit of a different shape. Um, But yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it. I mean, what we saying out of 10 for me? It's a six.
ooh."
It's a solid livery. It's not the best, but it's a solid livery.
I think it's a solid 8. I'd go with an 8 because I think it looks really good.
I'm
Really?
gonna go.
Wow.
I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna go between you both and say 7.
All right, fair enough. Fair
You got in
enough.
the middle. Fair enough.
So that's the livery. Now, drivers, no more Shumi.
No,
Yeah,
Schumacher.
no more Mick Schumacher, unfortunately.
What we saying? Because we all know the Hulkenberg K-Mag relationship isn't the strongest bridge in the world.
Insert suck my balls here. um,
It was something like that.
well, yeah.
How was their relationship before that, though?
I
Genuinely.
I think strenuous is not the word. I think it was friendly competition. I believe is the word.
Right, so it wasn't Verstappen and Lewis. It was more.
No, it was friendly competitive because I think they've not been in the same team before, have they?
No.
No,
They weren't at Renault together.
I did. Oh, that's a point. That was 2015, wasn't it? Who
Yeah,
drove Renault in 2015?
I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think that Hulkenberg and K-Mag will get along fine. They seem to be getting along fine already.
I hope
And
so.
also, can we point out that they are both a fair bit older now as well?
Yeah, true, and
And
I think the two very experienced drivers. I mean,
yeah,
compared to a lot of the of the other lineups at the minute, if you look at the McLaren, yeah, Lando Norris has had a great season, but he's still a rookie.
Oh yeah.
He's still,
yeah,
he's still even with the likes of Pierre Gasly, he's still adjusting to the pressure.
mm. But I think Schumacher moving and taking a step back to go into a more development role at Mercedes is a great step for him because obviously his dad was at Mercedes when Mercedes resurged for Formula One, but his dad was also there when they did sports car racing in the early
Yeah,
'90s. So I think it's a very logical step that Mick has gone to Mercedes. Not necessarily for a drive. You never know. He might get a drive at some point, but personally, I think he's got to prove that to Mercedes because
yeah.
Mercedes is not a incompetent bunch. They will
But
they will
for
know they
me,
want to get something from him.
I think, I mean, let's be honest, he wasn't the best for Haas. I mean, he got 2 points, was it? But there was a lot
Use-
of destroying the team's budget with all the crashing and the non-finishing. And I think in order to go for a team like Mercedes, fair enough
Mm.
if you're a reserve driver, but to be on the starting lineup for Mercedes, you have to prove that you're reliable. And personally, I don't think Mick Schumacher is.
Also, just quickly, it was Palmer was Magnussen's teammate at
Ah,
Of course it was, yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. Let's not get too caught up on Haas because we've got another 9 teams to go through. So the next livery to be released was, dare I say it, the Red Bull. Oof.
What are you talking about? It's so different this year.
Well, yeah. I can I just say for those who actually watched the release, it was a shambles.
I didn't actually see it. I'll be honest.
what
no,
Red
Jay-
Bull Red Bull's release?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I will be honest, I wasn't wowed. It
Did you
was
watch
a
the
bit
release
like-
though? Regardless of the car, did you watch the release video?
I did. What for
Yes.
Red Bull?
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
tried getting the president of Formula One to come on, and he wasn't even in the building.
Oh, did they not?
No,
I didn't know that. No,
yeah, he wasn't there.
It was a very, 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 very long wait before it was actually unveiled. They did a lot of talking.
I know, but again, that's my other kind of down or drawback, I should say, is it was too American for me. It wasn't about if you read back through or watch back through the video, there is very little talk about that. This up and coming year. It was all about how much they love Miami, how much they love the American fans, how much they're looking forward to Las Vegas. It was
But then,
very,
lo
very
and
American.
behold, what came out afterwards?
Well, I was going to say, followed by our partnership with Ford. But again, this is another beautiful moment of the video. They're interviewing the head of the Ford department of obviously the powertrains, and on the side of the car is a big Honda word on the car. So literally, they do a close up on the guy from Ford, and in the background you just see Honda.
that doesn't really work, does it?
No.
But yeah, it does seem Red
It's-
Bull's trying to pander more towards the American audience now.
Yeah.
Obviously, for a very good reason, because it's the amount of F1's expanded into America over the last few years has been phenomenal. So get them all on your side quickly before
Yeah.
we start. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
I think as well, it's actually somewhat important to remember that a lot of the American fans aren't actually Red Bull fans. I don't think they are
no,
they?
but that's what I
massive
think Red
major-
Bull
a
are going
massive-
for.
Aren't
I
a
think-
massive
Go on.
majority? Aren't a massive majority of them Ferrari fans?
I
don't-
think
thought that-
Red Bull are trying to snipe all the American fans, if I'm being honest.
What,
They
like
probably are.
well, they did it to the Mercedes engineers, so I wouldn't be surprised. No? Back when they sniped all of Mercedes engine department back in 20.
Well, yeah.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. And now they've got the best engine and car.
I don't know how they managed to pull that off. To be fair,
Neither do I, to be fair. Because Mercedes. Anyway, getting sidetracked.
yes. Besides that,
But can we also talk about how Daniel Ricciardo is also back at Red Bull?
Controversial much. I mean, we are going to talk about this in another video. We are going to do our predictions for the season, but I just want to say, I think Danny Rick will replace Perez.
I do, at some point.
I am going to not comment because it's I'm just I will save it for another video where we can have a chat about it properly.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Just before we go on to the next team, I just kind of want a bit of a summary from you guys. Do we think Perez will play ball after the latter end of last season?
I personally certainly think that Perez is going to put his foot down a bit more, both literally and figuratively. I think Perez will not necessarily roll over,
Mm.
The although maybe Darth Helmet will find Perez's lack of faith disturbing, uh, but I think that Perez, considering what he said at Brazil last year, certainly raised his eyebrows as to whether he might play ball.
I don't know. For me, I just think he's lost that team member mentality now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and as well, you've got to remember that Perez has finally got a taste of winning,
Oh
and he
yeah.
knows he's got the machinery underneath him to propel him to wins. He's not. I know that Max was defending his first world title, and Perez very, very well helped him get his second. However, now,
But the favour wasn't returned in Abu Dhabi last year.
exactly,
No,
well,
of course it
also
wasn't.
that, but as well, you've got Ferrari now right up their backsides. You're going to have maybe other teams which are completely from outfield who they have not accounted for whatsoever, who are going to be coming from outfield. Perez is going to have to say, what do I do? Do I sacrifice myself to help Max get a championship which he may or may not win? Or do I put my foot down, get past him, regardless of what it takes, and then score the team some points and myself some more points as well?
But you've also got to remember Ricardo is waiting in the wings now. So if Perez does something that they don't like, they'll just go right out. Ricardo back in, get in the car.
But Danny
okay.
Rick was the same. Danny Rick
Yeah.
started to like say, "Look, I'm not going to give up for Max," because Danny Rick was put to the side because Max is their golden boy.
Yeah,
Well,
yes.
of course, it's the same with Mercedes with Bottas. It was Lewis Hamilton's team. He was the golden child.
Mm.
Right.
Unfortunately,
And that's not to say that Valtteri never got his fair share of wins. Maybe he should have gotten more, but granted, at the same time, when Valtteri did put in a sterling effort, Lewis did move aside.
yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Max hasn't done that on countless occasions.
Yeah.
You can count them
Yeah.
where Perez has given it up and Max hasn't returned the favour.
No.
I mean,
I think that's the main thing.
counter argument to that though is he's a racing driver. Why should he have to? I mean,
Because it's a team game.
it is a team game to a certain extent, but all drivers are selfish. You know this.
Well, well, you say that, but it depends on the driver. Anyway, let's not delve too deep onto that. Let's move on because we have got a lot of teams to go through. So
Mhm.
the next one, funnily enough, is the opposite end of the spectrum. It's Williams. Now, for me, again, the Williams livery was, apart from the Duracell air intake, it was pretty much the same.
I did not see the addition of Golf coming. Didn't see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea why or where that's come from, but fair enough. If they've gone for it, they've gone for it. But yeah, I don't think it looks bad. I think it's just
No. Again, I wouldn't say it was a bad livery.
Compared to last year.
It's just not much different. But anyway, who am I to judge? But can we focus on again the team changes because there's no more Latifi.
No,
The goat is gone.
And the American order got themselves a racing driver.
Americans got themselves a racing driver
With the slogan side.
and we've also now got Mercedes' former chief strategist.
Yes, indeed, Valtteri James.
Valtteri is James. But this is the point. Now, could we see the strategic decisions made at Mercedes, which have been sometimes and on countless occasions absolute masterclass when it comes to strategy? Could we see that being implemented into Williams's strategies?
Well,
in each race.
To combat that, would you say that Williams have enough performance to make strategies work?
I mean, that's something we will have to wait and see about.
Yeah.
If they can certainly take strategical advantages with the equipment they've got, I'll be hard pressed to say they haven't tried to make the most of what they've got. So I'm happy to look forward to it and see what happens.
Yeah, I
To
mean,
be
I personally, I hope they do well because obviously I don't know whether Adam was just going to say this, but they've been given more wind tunnel time. They've been given all the extra help, but again, we'll go onto the next video. Sorry, but I don't think it's enough to catch up to the big boys. Yes,
they
they
also,
might fight for say a ninth or eighth team construction position, but I don't think
Mhm.
it's enough.
No, of course it's not. But there's also were rumours at the time, and I don't know how true this is, but there was also rumours Williams don't actually have enough to be able to afford all their wind tunnel time.
Well, exactly. I mean, we're filming this just after testing. We've seen Haas drop to a 3-man pit wall.
Yes, to save
To say,
225.
yeah, for me that is a brilliant maneuver because there's going to be no difference. There's still communication there. It's just not going to be in person.
It is, as long as they can keep up the communication within the team, because obviously less
Yeah.
people.
But it's like Mercedes don't have a pit wall.
What do you mean? Wait, what?
I don't think. Do Mercedes have a pit wall?
I don't
It's
know.
all in the garage, isn't it?
Oh wait, no, because they still have people outside, don't they?
I don't know if they do,
I'll look into that.
because you know how Toto sits at the end of the bit in the middle,
Yeah,
and they've got Bono and Hamilton's lot down one side, and the strategy, and then they got strategy on both sides, and they have Russell's lot and engineer
Yeah,
down
on
the
their
other
side of the
side.
grid.
On each side of the garage. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
garage is separated, but Toto sat in the middle at the back of them all.
But
I
again,
don't think Mercedes do have a pit wall.
if it works for the big boys, why can't it work for the lower field teams?
that's
Yeah.
true.
Exactly. There's nothing to say it can't work, and it
And
probably
let's
will
be
work.
honest, some of the best Toto memes have come from the inside the garage.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
The I'm losing my bow sponsorship.
Yeah. I'm about to lose my bloody
What about-
Logitech headset at this rate. My headset's breaking.
Not sponsored. We're not
Yeah,
sponsored.
Not sponsored by
hashtag
Logitech,
not
coming up.
ad.
Hashtag Logitech, please sponsor us.
Yeah. I was gonna say I've actually got a lot of Logitech gear at the minute.
Yeah, same.
Racing sims.
Anywho,
Anyway, moving swiftly on.
moving on. We have the Alfa Romeo, beautiful livery.
Oh, so good looking.
It's like that. I must be honest.
It
They've
was
gone from
beautiful.
But can we talk about the elephant in the room? They leaked it on their own. They leaked it on their own livery reveal.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was brilliant. I can't believe because
I watched that one. I managed to watch that one.
I didn't manage to watch it. I was funnily enough I was in the office. I was working at the time, and I saw pictures and I thought, nah, somebody's photoshopped that. There's no way they've had the car in the background while they're talking.
And lo and behold,
yeah.
Oh, no, I was buying clothes when that was on, so I didn't get to see it. But from what I saw, the things afterwards, it was just like, how do you release your car before you've released your car?
It takes some preparation.
It was a serious lapse in their concentration and their
But you think how many people have approved that setup? That's not been done overnight.
No, exactly.
How?
Then,
I don't know.
Hundreds had to look at that and go, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. That's fine.
But not just that. Even the cameraman live, he's continued to film it and not said anything.
Giggling behind the camera.
Sure, I mean, let's be honest. It must have took 0.4 of a second for somebody to post it online when it happened.
Yeah.
And nobody from Alfa Romeo saw it.
Yeah, no, but as well, I think the what's it called? The they had a video already lined up.
So you just think they've pressed play early?
So yeah, I think because when they actually revealed it, with Valtteri and Zhou, they had a video at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I think they had that lined up.
It was funny, but I don't know. It just felt like a big L, really.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, team changes. So
Well, team change
yeah, pretty much.
with Audi coming in and just deciding to try and buy it all out.
Yeah. That's 1 point. Yeah, we've got driver change. We've got
Believe it's all the same. Bottas and Guan Yu still.
yeah.
So the
I
only
mean,
new thing
it
you
will.
see,
Bottas has now got his facial hair back now, hasn't he?
yeah, on the helmet as well.
Love it.
There's a new CEO, Alessandro Aluni Bravad Bravi. Yeah, Brev.
We apologise if you are watching because we have just butchered that.
Yes, yes, really done. But right, I call him the Italian Jeff Goldblum because, as far as I'm concerned, that's what he looks like. But
Yeah.
on that release video, on that release post they did saying this is the new. He's not even the team principal. He's the team representative. They're not hiring a new team principal this year.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm.
So, well, I was going to say there's not much to say about Alfa Romeo. Yeah, the livery is nice, not much changed. So let's move on to Alpha Tauri. So they finished 9th last year, which shocked me to think that they were below, kind of some of the other teams, below Haas. It's yeah.
Only Williams.
So again, Alpha Tauri, very very similar livery, just got a bit more red accents. But yeah, Nick De Vries.
Yes, that's a good new change.
I think that is going to do them a world of good. I think Nick De Vries is going to be kind of the next George Russell, if you would, where he's a solid driver, but he just needs a car, and if he gets given that car, he should perform well.
We also talk about the car this year.
I feel the same about Nick De Vries.
Say again, sorry.
I feel the same about Nick De Vries.
Yeah, I think he's a massive underdog. If he gets given the right car, he should perform very, very well. And personally, again, it might be going off on a bit of a massive tangent, but I think he'll be better than Gasly.
Ooh.
Hang
on.
Granted, Gasly got AlphaTauri their first win since they were Toro Rosso way back many centuries ago.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that Nick De Vries, if he gets a good car under him and AlphaTauri don't have too many reliability issues, Nick De Vries will be able to put in some serious, and I mean seriously, sterling drives.
Yeah.
And take them upfield. The problem is that does he have a good car underneath him?
Again, we'll cover this in our predictions with testing video, but I think they're going to be a very strong midfield team.
The other thing with De Vries as well, you've got to remember he's his time in Formula E. He's learned to race wheel to wheel quite a lot in a discipline such as Formula E, and he's the FIA's first world champion because he actually became world champion in Formula E before Verstappen did in Formula One. So he's the first Dutch world champion coming from Formula E, which is close wheel-to-wheel racing.
Yeah, and it's very precise driving.
Exactly. So he's got that behind him.
I think Nick will be able to definitely do well and maybe outshine the car that AlphaTauri may provide him with. I couldn't say on that front, but at the same time, he is a fantastic young. Well, not really young. Is he 27?
Yes.
He's 25 odd. He's done incredibly well in a short space of time, and as you say, he's got a lot of experience, and I don't see much stopping him. And I hope that. Well, unfortunately, they're both Red Bull teams, which is a bit annoying. But oh well.
Well, hang on.
Well, I was gonna say it is, but it isn't really. I think back in the Toro Rosso days, it was very heavily Red Bull based. But I I think the AlphaTauri team, it's almost got its own status now.
It
I
is.
thought
It is
that-
growing outside of Red Bull.
Yeah, of
I'll
course.
tell you what, we were talking about how we think if Perez is probably going to get replaced by someone halfway through the year. Now, we over the last few years, we've established that Red Bull don't. If Red Bull's already put you in the car, they don't really put you back in it afterwards. Like Gasly and Albon, they don't put them back in the car.
No.
The only thing they have at their disposal now is De Vries. So if Perez stops performing, what's to say De Vries doesn't go to Red Bull?
Maybe
Oh,
a change
double
to
Dutch.
24, but I don't think now.
Are you saying that Red Bull could go double Dutch?
They could.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hmm.
In an Austrian car.
I mean, it's a possibility.
It is. Anyway,
It's nothing that can't happen.
next two cars were released on the same day, but again, we'll start with the first one, which was McLaren first.
Yes, McLaren was first.
You mean the mirror image?
Yeah, so they finished 5th with 159 points, just ahead. Well, say just ahead. They finished ahead of Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo, who tied with 55 points. We forgot to mention that. But
Yes.
anyway, it's about McLaren, and orange is the new black, is it? Or is black the new orange?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the difference, really.
There's a lot more black on the new car, but again, I think that's we talk about it a lot, saving weight at the moment, trying to meet that maximum.
I've noticed a lot of teams are going for exposed carbon, and they keep saying, "Oh, well, it saves this amount of weight and all this and all that." But
what's it like?
I don't know. Some of them look good, some of them don't.
It depends on which team does it, as we'll get to in a bit. But as far as McLaren goes, big changes with their drivers as well. Obviously, some people's delight and some people's non-delight.
Yeah,
Ricardo.
Why are some people not pleased with Piastri's implementation?
I think it's more because of the fan base around Ricardo. Because he's a very likable character. He has shown in the likes of the Red Bull and the Renault that he can be a machine at the wheel. But obviously at McLaren, he's just not had that. He's not been able to. So I think that's what I would say anyway. I don't really have an opinion on Piastri just yet because I've not really seen him drive. But
I mean, what do we think of McLaren again? I'll not run into testing too much, but they've had a pretty poor test period, haven't they?
I don't know anything about McLaren's testing. All I know is that Lando Norris may have punched a wall.
Yeah, no, he was not happy.
Although apparently I saw this earlier, Lando Norris punched a wall when Ted Kravitz was stood 6 foot from him. I mean, how do you miss by that much? Like, I'm just saying. Can you just?
What do you think he was going for Ted Kravitz?
Oh no, he should have gone for Ted Kravitz. That's what I'm saying.
Should I be the one to clarify? It was Will Buxton. He was standing 6 foot.
Oh, sorry, Will Buxton. No, not Ted Kravitz. Sorry, no, Will Buxton. I do apologise.
I was going to say.
All the same, how can you miss by 6 foot?
But the other thing I want to talk about, I do want to talk about the new team principal, Andreas Stella.
Yeah, please do.
Because I did some research about him because I was genuinely interested, and his resume is impressive for anyone who doesn't know. Because he was the performance engineer at Ferrari from 2000 to 2006, so the Schumacher era, and he did that for Ferrari / Schumacher. So I think 2 years he did for Ferrari in general, and then he did the rest of it for Schumacher. He was Kimi Raikkonen's performance engineer in 2007 to 2008 and 2009. And then Alonso's race engineer from 2010 to 2014. And then he was also McLaren's head of race operations from 2015 to 2017. And then he got promoted to performance director in 2018 before becoming the racing director in 2019. And now he's their team principal. He's worked from the bottom all the way up to get this role. And I think he's got such an impressive resume. I'm really interested to see what he's going to be able to do for the team this year.
Do you think it's going to be that much of a change?
I don't know, mate. I mean, at the moment, it's not looking great, but obviously he's just got into this new role. I don't know how long
But-
Stella's been.
But again,
help.
though, what we found so far isn't team strategy, but it's more to do with the car itself, which we've found sometimes isn't to do with the principal.
True, but the principal's got to oversee it and kind of go, well, this is what's going well, this is what's not going well. That's what Toto does in Mercedes. That's what Christian does in Red Bull, and they do it to great effect. So I think if Stella does it well, maybe he could help Mercedes get back to where they were at the time of like Ron Dennis. Assuming he was good at Ron Dennis.
Yeah. Right. Moving on to Aston Martin, as we said, tied 6th. Even though they somehow classified 7th. Again, livery's not changed. And now there's no more Vettel. What do we think about that?
Well, there was rumours he might come back for this first race due to stuff.
Oh, be quiet. He was never going to come back for. I don't know why people thought he was.
Yeah, he was pretty clear he was done with the sport.
Yeah, I don't know what made people assume. Oh yeah, something's wrong with Lance Stroll. Felipe Drugovich has been doing our entire testing, and he's our reserve driver. Oh no, Vettel's going to reappear.
What are
Where
you,
did
are
you
you
get
saying?
that
Are you saying that
information from?
Vettel was the one that run him off the road?
Well,
No, Alonso.
no, it was actually Lawrence.
Oh yeah.
It was a coordinated incursion by Lawrence Stroll to get rid of his son. Get rid of his son in mysterious circumstances, said in
You're cutting me
quotation
too much, Lance. I need you out.
marks. But I think that I think those rumours that Vettel was coming back was completely unfounded. I
Oh,
like Vettel. I used to not like Vettel, but I like him now. And even though he's a great guy. What in the world were you all thinking? It was going to be Felipe Drugovich, and Felipe Drugovich now has the opportunity of his lifetime to
Well,
prove
he does,
that
but do you think he's going to prove it?
Now, this is what I'm saying. Picture this. And I know we shouldn't be predicting this too much, but picture this. Felipe Drugovich goes in that lovely looking Aston Martin, which apparently is looking quite good after testing, and scores.
Well, I was going to say Alonso made it look good.
Well, scores more points than in the number of races that Lance Stroll takes to recover and get back to Aston Martin than Lance Stroll does in the rest of the year.
That would be mad. But I genuinely
is that an unpopular opinion I hear?
No, that's my opinion, which I have a feeling may come true.
Out of potential. But my thing with that is, even if he does prove himself, Lance is still in that seat, and his father is still at the helm of Aston Martin.
But do you think it'll get to a point where business takes over family? Because at the end of the day, Daddy Stroll has still got to run a business, hasn't he?
But
True.
I've heard from certain sources who will remain nameless that people at Aston Martin are not pleased with Lawrence Stroll.
Right.
Not in a Formula One sense. Well, yes and no in a Formula One sense, but in terms of the whole business,
right.
Lawrence Stroll is running Aston Martin Lagonda, the actual car side of it. He is not doing very well, and he's upsetting several people.
Well, he won't, because I hate to quote Drive to Survive, but he does look like a very strong figure in terms of whatever he wants he gets, rather than team effort.
He gives me Bernie Ecclestone vibes in some ways, with the way the power he kind of demands when he's in the paddock.
Yeah, but the problem was that Bernie Ecclestone got it.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, really doesn't. But the thing is that, like, yeah, as I say, if Lawrence Stroll wants to hang on to the Aston Martin Formula One team, fine, he can. But at the same time, he can't have Aston Martin Formula One and have Aston Martin Lagonda. Those two go together.
Mm.
So whichever happens, happens. But I'm just saying that if people see that Lance Stroll does not perform in that Aston Martin when his father's in charge, who appointed Felipe Drugovich. Well, sorry, no, it wasn't even him who did it. It was Mike Crack who did it. Yes, get your heads out the gutters, gentlemen. When it was them who did it, or sorry, when it was the team principal Mike who did it, then you can't really say that Lawrence Stroll has much of a say when his son has just been completely overshadowed by a rookie.
Well, I was going to say, I think it has to get to a point where actions speak louder than words. If Drugovich performs amazingly in these races, then I think there's going to be a lot of crowd pressure to say, listen, Lance Stroll isn't what it seems to be.
Mind you, according to Alonso, he's going to be a potential world champion in the future.
What, Stroll?
Yeah.
Behave.
No, Alonso has actually said
Behave.
that.
Alonso said that at the car launch, but I believe that was just in his contract.
I was going to say, did he get a nice 20 quid note handed to him in that letter?
Probably. I don't know. It's Lawrence.
I was going to say, I mean, I can name, Nick De Vries being one of them, more than 5 drivers who will be world champion before him. I mean, we're talking the likes of Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Nick De Vries, Lando Norris for me. I think if he can get...
Probably, if Carlos Sainz would get a world championship before Lance Stroll.
Unless he somehow gets a seat at Red Bull and Daddy Stroll buys Red Bull, then I don't see how they can do...
Are you telling me that Helmut Marko, of all people, will sell to Lawrence Stroll?
No, I'm not saying he will, but I'm saying unless he got given that opportunity, there's no way that Lance could ever be world champion. I know this will probably get clipped sometime in like 2050, but I just can't see it.
Neither. I used to say the same about Rosberg though back in 2009, so I got that wrong.
I mean, he had a good year. I can't deny it. He had a good year.
True. But anyway, should we move on to the prancing horses?
Indeed. Next is the prancing horses. Finished second.
Nearly third.
40-point difference.
Yeah, but then Mercedes hand over fist at the end. It was quite embarrassing.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I think Ferrari's major points lead was kind of took from the beginning of the season, because if you think back, it was the first 5 races or something like that. They got podiums every race.
They were, and the Red Bulls were having trouble in the first 3 races. They
DNF'd, didn't they?
In the first 2-3 races, Verstappen failed to finish twice.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They had DNFs, and then what? I can't remember which race was first, but they just had a strategy mishap.
Yeah,
really, wasn't it? It was just a complete devastation.
Ferrari fumbled the ball hard. That although they have now got a new chief strategist.
Indeed, they have.
They have, haven't they?
So again, is this the start of a new Ferrari era?
Also, the new team principal, Vasseur, as well. That's a big one.
Yeah, of course, yeah. New team principal coming from Alfa Romeo, Fred Vasseur. Because this is the thing, Fred Vasseur is not he's not Ferrari through and through. He's come from Alfa Romeo. He's worked his way up the ranks. He's a very, very competent leader. And the thing is that when you then look at what it actually was going on in Alfa Romeo, it was perfect. They hardly had. You never heard a strategy call or a problem within the team, did you? It was always a problem which was on track, result, whether it was a crash or just a driver error or like a slow lap or like a tire problem. But you never ever heard a problem within the team.
There's also another bit of superstition that comes with Vasseur joining Ferrari, because I believe Vasseur's French, isn't he?
He is French.
Now, who was the last French team principal at Ferrari?
a certain fellow called Jean Todt,
What happened when he was there?
a certain German won 7 world titles.
Exactly. So, are we looking at a new uprise for
Sorry,
Ferrari?
5 world titles.
5 world titles with a clerk or science.
Yes, please.
I mean, I'd like to see Leclerc do well, because I genuinely feel sorry for him. He had everything ready for that season, and then it was just torn away from him.
Yeah,
He-
it's you've got to hand it to him that he's really really got bad luck.
In some, but some of them were his fault. For example, Imola, when he lost it, the chicane, and put it in, backed it into the
Yeah,
wall.
but every driver's gonna have errors. I mean, I could count on both hands the amount of errors Max Verstappen made, but he still won the championship. But I
Yeah.
think if we reflect on there was Monaco, was it Baku? There was just a long list of bad errors by Ferrari strategy.
And they nearly dropped out of Austria as well, but they got lucky on that one because they had some. I can't remember exactly what the fault was, but basically they were on their last. The car was on its last legs
Yeah.
going into the last.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the top group, next up is Mercedes. Now they are
Woo!
back to black.
Yeah,
I
cue the
love it.
AC/DC.
Favorite livery of the season. Now,
Right.
as well, I say 3 fellow Merc fans. I'm quite open, but yeah, that Mercedes is a beautiful car.
I gotta say it does look very very good, and I'll be happy to be supporting them again. And hopefully this year we'll see Lewis Hamilton and George Russell taking win after win. Hopefully.
I'm gonna be controversial here.
Oh, you.
I prefer
I'm not going to finish the sentence for monetization reasons.
the silver Mercedes.
Get out.
I'm
Out.
quite done.
Okay. Right. Let me
Silver
settle this.
for
Let
a
me settle it.
reason.
Let me settle this. All right, I'm going to go for a lovely middle ground. The 2020 livery before it went full black. There we go.
Oh.
See the beautiful
I
silver
don't know.
and the black at the back.
As much
It looked
as the iconic black Mercedes was quite controversial at the time. For me, it was a beautiful livery. I mean, seeing that go round the night circuits in Abu Dhabi, it was a stunning car.
I'm not saying it's not a nice car because it is a really nice car.
the
I
2020 car, which was just pure dominance and complete black, was so good looking.
Yeah, it was, and I do really like this car. Plus, I think the fact they've not coloured half of it in is going to really help them as far as weight's concerned.
I was going to
'cause
say, for me, I think the only downside to the livery is that it's weirdly a two-tone black. You've got a
Yeah,
black top
it's
half
exposed.
and a carbon lower half.
Yeah,
Even though
it's
it's kind of
exposed.
all black, it is two-tone.
It's mixed panel to panel with exposed carbon and black. But as you say, I think it's a very upper and lower livery. So it's like, oh yeah, here's all the black and the Patronus, and then all across the bottom of the front crash structure, and all down over the floor, and the intakes for the ground effect and the diffuser, and going up onto the wing and things like that. That's all carbon, exposed carbon. Gloss.
Am I the
but it
only
is
one
exposed.
who didn't notice the difference when it first got released? I mean, I only noticed that it was black and carbon kind of 24 hours after the release. I didn't actually notice it was 2 different colours. I thought it was either all carbon or all black.
I thought it
No,
was
I
carbon.
noticed. I'm pretty sure I noticed the carbon areas quite quickly,
Hmm.
and I have seen a fair amount of carbon in my time. So I was like, oh wait, yeah, it's a bit. Oh yeah, it is.
For the record,
Yeah, I mean,
James,
I saw the carbon, but I didn't see the two-tone colour difference.
for the record, been
go on.
doing a lot of carbon fibre recently.
Yeah, I've been staring at the stuff.
It's good stuff though, isn't it? We all
Yes.
love a bit of
It's good
carbon.
looking stuff.
But yeah.
So,
Right. So same drivers. Schumacher as a reserve driver. the big question again. We'll talk about the testing more on the next one. But is Mercedes going to be back? Do we think that the penalty for the cost cap for Red Bull is enough to kind of level the playing field again, or do we think it's going to be
Well,
another Red Bull
Well,
season?
let's be honest. The only thing that's going to be different about the Red Bull, this is a joke and very much satire, by the way, viewers. The only thing that's going to be different about the entire Red Bull sector is just that their chicken nugget's going to be a bit less expensive. No, in all seriousness, I am crossing my fingers and toes that Mercedes are going to be able to compete, not necessarily whoop the field, because I want to see close racing and I want to
Yeah.
see racing not necessarily go down to the wire. We're not talking about Abu Dhabi 2021 here, but as in racing go down to like within the last few laps where the racing is good, pure sportsman-like racing, where the places are traded, everyone goes for it, and it's good to watch, and they enjoy it as well. And when it comes to it, in the end, you could have Max Verstappen second, Lewis Hamilton first, and George Russell on a very, very close third. And they all shake hands at the end of it because they all know that they was close.
I mean,
And
it would
it
be
was
nice.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that we will see a Mercedes, not dominance, but a Mercedes
No,
trade of
yeah.
wins between, and it just so happens in the end they get the slightly larger majority than everyone else combined together.
For
That's
me, the only problem is, I mean, we've had the new regulations for closer racing, but again, either back me up or correct me if I'm wrong. But it's the only thing it's actually improved is the racing when you're 2 seconds within each other. Soon as you get past that 2 second gap and you're both in clean air, it's back to same old, whether it's Mercedes dominance leading 7 seconds after the first 10 laps, or the Red Bull last 2 seasons, again leading 4 seconds after the first lap. And you just think, well, which part of this closer racing is it actually benefiting? And for me,
yeah,
the only answer is when they're actually wheel to wheel.
Yes.
It's if anything, it's not made racing closer. It's just prolonged the time that they are close. It's
However,
not
correct me.
it's not actually changed the results in terms of the gaps. I mean, we've still got first place lapping up to what 15th, 14th.
However, I do believe I read something recently that said there's another new regulation, which I think's kind of gone unspoken if it is true. That DRS activation has changed as well.
yep, to the first lap.
Yeah, first lap. It's not 3 laps in anymore. It's the first lap. So that means
Well,
the cut.
I never knew that.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's new.
It has come out. It came
So-
out before testing, so DRS will now be active from the first lap.
Is
From
that
the
is that is that after completing the first lap, or is that from the start?
Completely.
No, it's not. It's not from the start. It's from completing the first lap. So
Oh, right.
start lap, and then DRS is active.
That
So
should be
laps.
interesting because that might again that keeps everyone within that second boundary, providing that the leader doesn't have a blistering start.
Yeah, exactly. So that might keep racing closer, and it might make
You'd
it
like
more
to think
interesting.
so, because I
Yeah.
mean, I again, I'd like to say we're three Mercedes fans, but for me, I would rather see a Mercedes lose to a Red Bull closely than just
Yes.
see a Mercedes win by laps.
We're
It's
not.
just not entertaining.
We're not. We talk about this a lot, Mike. We're not. We're not Mercedes fans. We're
No,
very.
we're
We
motorsport enthusiasts, aren't we?
Yeah.
Really, we enjoyed the racing. I mean, for me,
I'm gonna keep quiet about this. I'm just gonna keep quiet.
I mean, to be honest, I support the GB drivers. I'm a big fan of George Russell. I'm a big fan of Norris. I like it when Hamilton wins, but
Yes.
I don't know. I'd rather see one of them guys get beat within 2 seconds of a gap between leader and second than to see somebody go for 40 laps in first place and not even see second place in his rearview mirror.
Boring.
It is.
Mm.
I mean, again, I think this is again why James loves WEC so much because it's we watched 24 hours of Daytona, and third place was what, a hundredth of a second behind
The
second.
third place in LMP2 was 16 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, 16,000 after
That was-
24 hours. Why can't we have that in Formula One?
All right, by
Yeah.
the way, if you want to hear our podcast on the Daytona 24 hour, it is in our channel, so have a look around.
Yes, please go on that video. And also, we will be releasing a update because as of a few hours ago, they have released the final entry list for Le Mans. So we will be discussing that in a bit of an update video. So hopefully that will be released, I'd say within a week of this video. Hopefully within a couple of days, depending on how quick we can get it processed.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited for that one to be released.
So, shall we move on to
Yes,
Alpine?
last but not least, fourth place. And again, I'm looking at stats here. Mercedes finished third with 515 points. 515. Fourth place, one position below, 173, sorry.
Wow,
It's
that
ludicrous.
this is what we're saying. We want it closer than that, really.
And this is what I mean. Everyone says about, top tier split, lower tier split. For me, that is a very, very clear split. And not only that, but there's a clear split between fifth and sixth. Fifth finished on was McLaren on 159. And then sixth was 55 points. So there's 100 points difference between fifth and sixth.
This whole best of the rest thing shouldn't exist.
There's three clear tier divisions. You've got, looking at this, you've got the top three, which is kind of plus 500 points. Then you've got fourth to sixth, which is 173 to 159. And then you've got less than 50 points.
Exactly.
I suppose the thing is, when it comes to everyone who's kind of in the middle, exactly that, the midfield, they're the ones who are putting in the kind of consistent points finishes.
I mean, look at Lando Norris. He had an absolute worldie of a start to the season. What was it? Something daft like he got a top 5 in the first 10 races or something daft like that.
Podium at one point, didn't he? In Imola.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, exactly that. So, but then at the same time, you had like Alpine and things like that. You had them chugging along at the back of the points finishes. And then lo and behold, they've built, even though they've still got a fair amount of points, because Mercedes had a couple of wins in the bag, they had a few podiums, they had constant points finishes, they're so much higher ahead. And you think, oh, how's that happened then? So.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see where you're coming from with how kind of stark that seems. So.
Yeah, Gasly, he's no longer part of the Red Bull Academy.
No, he's now on his own.
Now,
Alpine.
do we think he's gonna bottle it like Red Bull, or do we think that he might flourish because there's not as much pressure on him? Because for me, I mean, I'll hold a hand up. I've been listening to other people's reviews on it, and from the sounds of it, he doesn't like change. So he's either gonna not like change again and suffer like he did at Red Bull, or he's actually gonna, he's gonna see that he's not got that much pressure on him, and he might do well.
Well, I'll be honest, Mike. Oh, sorry, Adam.
No, it's fine. You go first, mate.
I was just gonna say that thing to remember is that he's a Frenchman in a French car,
as is his teammate.
As is his teammate.
But is that not more pressure?
It is more pressure, but that's the point. Can Gasly actually perform under pressure? Can he truly?
Well, previous results say no.
Well, do they though? Because Monza, for example, showed.
I wouldn't necessarily say that was pressure. I think that was a good opportunity.
It was a good opportunity which he did capitalise on. But at the same time, you remember that the safety car 10 laps before the end.
But Sainz was hounding down on him the whole last few laps in that.
Sainz was hounding down on him. You are correct.
And that's a lot of pressure for
It is a
someone
lot
in
of pressure.
their first race.
Yeah. Again, kind of going back to the French lineup. They've had a bit of trouble over the past, haven't they? Ocon and Gasly. Do we think that's going to be another rivalry, or do we think they're going to team up? What do we think?
I think friendly rivalry is the way to put it.
I don't think it will be friendly.
Oh,
Genuinely, from what I've heard, I can't say for sure, but I've heard it had something to do with relationships, and them both liking a certain person. So
Oh dear.
yes,
hey?
so I think it will be as friendly as people are making out to be. I'm not sure that's true, by the way. That's
Oh.
all I've heard.
Are we talking Kvyat Verstappen stuff?
Yes, we are.
Oh dear. Oh no.
So this might not. If that is true, then I think it's not going to be very civil.
Well, I don't. I know it's always going to be in the back of their heads, but I don't see how that could be reflected into the team and on the track. But what I will say is, going back to what you said about a French lineup for a French team, is this going to cause a kerfuffle, shall we say, in terms of who's the best Frenchman?
Yes, that's also true because are they the only two Frenchmen on the grid?
Yes.
Possibly.
Because Grosjean's gone,
Yes.
and yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a bit at stake there.
Indeed. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think we've summed that up pretty well.
Yes, I think we have.
I think as well as we could do.
Yeah. Well, thank you all guys for listening. And we'll hope to see you on the next ones. Like I said, we've got a F1 predictions coming up sometime in the near future, and we've also got our WEC update from today's news based on the new entry list for Le Mans. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.
Bye.
Stay